Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Her podcast, where real growth, real journeys, and the real you take place. We are back in the Knowing God, Becoming You, a space where we are learning who God is so we can become who we were created to be. I'm your host, Pauline, and so far in this series, we've encountered God as love, the foundation of identity. We've also encountered God as faithful, the anchor in becoming, the provider, the release from hustle, and healer, the restorer of what was wounded. So today we're going to get into God is peace, Jehovah Shalom, peace. Not peace as the absence of problems, because we all know we got things going on, right? But peace as the presence of God in the middle of them. So regardless of what you're going on, what you have going on, you can still have peace in the presence of God. If you've been feeling overwhelmed or maybe mentally cluttered, emotionally tired, I know that's been me lately, or maybe your mind never really feel rested, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. All right, so the first part we're going to talk about is what is Jehovah Shalom? What does that really mean? So in Judges 6:24, Gideon built an altar and he called it the Lord is peace, right? The Hebrew word shalom doesn't just mean calm. It means wholeness, completeness, nothing's missing, nothing broken, harmony, internal order, safety, soundness of mind and spirit. So when God reveals himself as Jehovah Shalom, he's not saying, I remove all problems, because let's be honest, during Gideon's time, they were suppressed. Things were happening to them. They were not in a happy place. They had forgotten God, so they were going through some things. So when you have forgotten God, like the Israelites did, you're not keeping God in your presence. And so therefore you don't have the peace that you desire. So I think that's just a lesson for us, is to make sure that we always keep God with us so that we can have that inner peace. Because when God is present in our lives, peace is always available to us. Whether we may feel like it or not, peace is always available to us when God is present. Okay. So now let's look at why many of us struggle with peace, right? Especially us women, because we just worry so much. We worry way too much. So let's talk honestly a little bit. Many of us live productive lives, faith filled lives, purpose driven lives. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a go getter, if you are an overachiever, I am talking to you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But internally, you're tired. Why is that? Because peace has been replaced with constant mental noise, decision fatigue, emotional overload, pressure to perform, hyper independence, always being on, carrying what God didn't assign, feeling responsible for everyone's emotions. Peace get crowded out by urgency. So we feel heavy, we feel tired because we have so much going on. And sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes we put our productivity, our purpose driven lives or activities, all of that stuff before God. So when you've replaced those things with God, yeah, what ends up happening is you lack that peace. And when peace is missing internally, everything can feel harder externally because we're not going to God for the support that we need. You can love God and still live anxious. Because some people be like, oh, I love God, I love God. Yeah, loving God and making sure He is present constantly, it two different things, because you can love Him, but if He's not constantly present in your life, you can start to feel anxious. You can be faithful and still be overwhelmed. You can be gifted and still be restless. But God never intended for his daughters to live internally chaotic, okay? So peace is not a luxury, it is a spiritual condition. It is something we need. And in order to have that constant peace, we have to make sure that the presence of God is constantly existing in us. The Spirit, remember we talked about the Spirit a couple of several episodes back, actually. All right. So now let's take a look at peace as a person and not just a practice. This is important because peace is not a personality trait. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, this person's so calm, this person's so peaceful. It is not a personality trait. Peace is not a productivity hack or some type of vacation you go on to get peace. Because I'll be thinking, oh, let me go on vacation. Peace is not a perfectly planned life, okay? So peace is presence, God's presence. In Isaiah 26:3, it says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever. That's verse 4. I just went a little bit further. For the Lord Himself is the rock eternal. Okay? That scripture, it just reminds us that the more your mind is anchored in God, the less power anxiety or anything else has over you. Peace flows from where your attention rests. Peace isn't found in control, it's found in trust. Peace isn't found in certainty, it's found in surrender. So when you're connected to God, peace becomes your posture. So peace is not a personality, but peace is found in God. So when you start trusting Him and relying on Him and getting grounded and rooted and anchored in Him, you will find peace. All right. How God creates peace in you. God doesn't just shout peace at you or say, hey, be peaceful. He cultivates it. Here's how He does it. Okay. This is just, my perspective. God brings peace through alignment. Listen, us entrepreneurs out here, y'all know how important it is to be in alignment. When your life matches your values, peace increases. Whew, this is something I talk to the women in my mentorship program for my business. I'm constantly saying, hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling out of alignment, your values are not matching up. You are not anchoring yourself in your values, so you're not experiencing that peace that you imagined or that peace you might have once felt before but don't feel it quite now, right? God brings peace through alignment. So your values have to match and has to align for peace to increase. God brings peace through boundaries. Peace grows where limits are honored, okay? God also brings peace through simplicity. Not everything needs your attention, but you just got to focus your attention on the right things and on the timely things. God brings peace through clarity. Confusion is loud, but clarity is calm. Clarity is peaceful. God brings peace through rest. Rest is not laziness, it's obedience. Even God rested. So we have to make sure we rest. And God brings peace through release. Letting go is often the doorway to peace. God's peace doesn't always remove the storm, but it will calm you in the storm. And that's the beauty of the presence of God. Like, I remember growing up, I used to think, oh, because I'm a daughter of God, I will never experience any difficulties, any hard times. Man, I was so young. I was like, what, middle school? As I grew older, I had to understand that, oh, okay, just because I have a relationship with God doesn't mean difficulty will be absent in my life. I learned quickly, okay? So, all right. So, the difference between busy and called, let's talk about that just a little bit. You can be busy and not be called. And you can be called without being busy. God does not rush, God does not panic, God does not overload because He's going to only give you what you can handle. He will only give you what you can carry. So if you start feeling rushed, if you start panicking, if you start feeling like your load is too heavy, take another look, okay? Because it's not God. Urgency often comes from fear, not faith. When you're moving with God, you still move forward, you still grow, you still build, you still lead, but the load isn't heavy, okay? And you do it with rhythm, but not rushing. Peace doesn't mean inactivity, peace means intentional movement. And that intentional movement would come through from the scriptures, right? Because when you're connected with God, you're staying in his presence. And one of the ways to do that is through prayer and scriptures. You get clarity, you get your orders from there, and you're able to move intentionally in everything you do. So when peace is present, you stop reacting and start responding. All right, so let's look at modeling God's peace as a woman, okay? A next level her woman. So when you model God's peace, you become a stabilizing force. Here's what that looks like. You don't absorb chaos. You stay grounded when others are reactive. You slow your responses because you know what about be quick to listen and slow to speak, okay? You slow your responses because not every message needs immediate reply. You create calm environments. Your presence feels safe. You don't over explain. Peaceful women don't need to prove themselves because you and God knows you and you know where you stand. You ain't got to prove yourself to anybody. You make decisions from clarity, not pressure. Because when we make decisions, we're going to go to God. We're going to pray. We're going to consult with the Spirit. We're going to read the scriptures to make decision from a clear mind, a clear space, not pressure. We don't cave into pressure, okay? Peace protects discernment. You honor your capacity. Peaceful women know their limits. Those are some of the ways that we can model God's peace, okay? So, the thing I love about peace is that, yes, peace is peaceful. I know it sounds redundant, but peace is attractive. Peace is leadership because people are going to be looking to you like, oh my God, how are you so calm? How are you this way in this situation? How are you so wise and X, Y, and Z? Peace is strength under control. And that's what I love about peace in this character part of God. And the beautiful thing is because we're made in his image, we have access to this stuff. All right, so let's look at practical peace practices that we can apply in our own weekly, daily lives. Okay, so here are a few gentle practices for this week. All right, create 5 minutes of silence daily. No phone, no music, no talking. I know that's going to be hard for some of us, especially us working professionals, entrepreneurs. Maybe we are glued to our phone, but try it just 5 minutes. You'll be surprised how fast that 5 minutes go by. Ask yourself, what is stealing my peace right now? I know sometimes when I'm scrolling on social media, I have to get off of it because sometimes it steals my peace based on what I'm seeing. Figure out what is stealing your peace, okay? Release one unnecessary obligation, especially if it's not going to bring you peace or give you any type of peace, or if it's going to overwhelm you. Release it, especially if it's unnecessary. Practice breathing slowly while praying. Choose rest without guilt. I've gotten so much better at that, resting without guilt, because I just always felt like I had to be on. And when I rested, I felt guilty. But your girl is healing from that, okay? And say no without over explaining. Y'all, I'll be if you are a people pleaser, you feel the need to explain yourself, but you don't have to explain yourself, okay? No is a complete sentence and you do not have to over explain. And it's okay to say no because blah, 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 but it doesn't have to be a whole essay of why you can't do something or why you have to say no, okay? So peace grows when it is protected, okay? So protect your peace. Now, I'm not talking about this whole protecting my peace trend that's going around, because I'm talking about the peace that you get from God, not the peace that you're just making up just to avoid people or just to not deal with what you need to deal with. Okay. All right. So, some reflection questions for you as you go through the rest of the week. Sit with these when you can. Okay. What disrupts my peace most often? Is it people? Is it pressure? Is it expectations? Is it perfectionism? What is it? Okay. The next question is, what responsibility am I carrying that God never assigned? All right. If your load feels extra heavy, you are carrying a responsibility that God did not assign to you. What is it? What boundary would immediately increase your peace? My working professionals, if you are an entrepreneur, like I serve clients. So some of the things that help with my peace is having cutoff times, having set hours and staying within those hours. So, what is it for you? Okay. How would my life look if peace, not urgency, led my decisions? So, let these questions reveal, but not condemn you, but just reveal what you need to set in place or do differently to increase your peace. All right. So, as we close today's episode, I want to leave you with this truth. God is not asking for you to do more, He is inviting you to rest deeper because He says He wants to carry your burden. He didn't come to give you heavy loads, He came to give you life to the full. Jehovah Shalom is not distant, He is near, He is steady, He is calm, and He is present. And when you walk with Him, peace becomes your portion. Okay? So, thank you for joining me on this series, Knowing God, Becoming You. Share this with anybody who you think might benefit from this. Share it with a friend and comment. Let me know what you think. I love to hear what you think. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're listening. Just make sure you connect with me. Best way to connect with me, I would say, is Instagram. All right. So on the next episode, we're going to explore God is wisdom, making spirit led decisions. All right. So until next time, keep enjoying the journey, keep growing, and keep being you. Talk soon.